they're just going to exterminate us like iRobots, like Jada Smith to her marriage. Such a ridiculous assumption. What is going on, folks? It's your lovely host, Programmer Pags. We're here to drop a banger video today about software engineers being replaced by AI, like humans being replaced by AI. Is it a threat? Short answer, maybe. Folks, let's dive in. So obviously AI is this huge deal, this huge ordeal, right? Oh my gosh, chat HEB is going to take our jobs. And there's some real concerns of AI. I've had conversations with my brothers. I've had conversations with my friends and people alike, of considering AI. What's it going to do? So I feel like the fear is appropriate, but there's kind of three buckets of things I want to talk about, or maybe a few points I want to talk about. And I am a software engineer, so I'm not the most competent in machine learning per se, but I've worked capillary collection, I've worked dermatology, I've worked blockchain protocols, I've worked oil and gas. So I've done a few integrations between softwares and things that I feel like give me at least a smidge of credibility to speak on this AI stuff. So one, I completely valid fear, right? Entirely out of the box, a very valid fear. We've all seen Terminator. We all seen the Will Smith Jada situation. She's still pissed off that iRobot didn't take him out. So I get it. There's a real fear of AI, but guys, me as a software engineer and AI is this concept of artificial intelligence, and I think I'm going to try to break it down, jokes aside, into a meta awareness of human intelligence. And what I mean by that is AI is one segment of human intelligence. First of all, let's just break down human intelligence. There's different types of intelligence. There's kinesthetic intelligence, there's physical intelligence, there's emotional intelligence, there's social intelligence, there's mathematical and arithmetic intelligence. There's spiritual intelligence. It breaks down into multiple different things. It's not just one type of intelligence. Albeit though, AI is certainly very competent at one specific type of intelligence. But to replace the entire and embody the entire human spirit, the entire human being, I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's maybe not possible, but I don't think we're in an area where that fear should exist. I'll give an example, right? So if AI does become superior to us in this one realm of intelligence, what happens if we just drop a bomb on it? What happens if we just burn down the data centers that have all the artificial intelligence models? What happens if humans just from physical brute force, all 7 billion of us come together and just say, nope, we're not allowing it from a physical brute force standpoint? AI could be as smart as ever, but they can't do that, and at least as things are today. Now there could be the robots and things like that, and but I also want to talk about it from this aspect as well. We think all artificial intelligence and all these robots and all these different software systems would just automatically work together. And me as a software engineer, I've done tons of third-party integrations, tons of API integrations, tons of systems building with other systems. And there's the tiniest of bugs. There's the tiniest of problems of putting these systems together, of wiring all these things correctly together. And it takes a tremendous amount of work. And even when you're doing it for a company to another company, those are just two systems, right? Migrating together. And to have two systems migrate together, it's an ugly process for businesses. It is not smooth majority of the time. It's such a, you have to go back and forth and do all this configurations, and it's brutal, it's gruesome, it's not fun work. And to assume that AI can just do that magically between two systems, let alone the thousands of businesses, thousands of software companies, thousands and thousands and thousands of people no different than myself building our own systems, and you guys too. It just seems like a far stretch that it would just all magically work together just because AI is like smart, because that's not how these software systems just magically get put together. It takes a lot of tedious and very precise work. But I'll give it to the fear. I think there is a valid response of, it could potentially be really good at it. It absolutely could, but it's not there right now. So that's kind of one point. The next thing I want to highlight within the AI segment, the whole artificial intelligence. What happens if a group of software engineers come together and say, well, we want to build our own artificial intelligence that is altruistic, that does have goodwill behavior, that does believe in doing the right thing, and we're going to build it to fight any different AIs that disagree with that have any sort of faulty will. Now, I don't think it's as easy as that. I don't know enough in deep learning and neural networks to make a strong comment on that. But what's stopping a group of engineers like myself and friends around me and engineers alike just to come together as a collective and say, well, we're going to build our own servers. We're going to do our own data models. It might cost tens and hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. But if it's a crisis for humans, I think we could find the funding, right? Like, what's stopping a group of us just coming together to build another AI to combat that one? That's a question that maybe I don't have an answer for. I don't know enough about the situation, but in my mind, that's exactly what I would do if it became a serious problem. I think it is a serious fear. I think it's an understandable threat, but there's ways to augment your own intelligence, or like I mentioned, augment your own models, your own AIs to potentially fight against some other weaponized artificial intelligence systems. So I don't know. I think that's kind of a second point of like, well, and that's kind of Elon Musk's approach of like, well, what if we augment our own brains to keep up with AI? Or as I just mentioned, augmenting my own system, or a collective of these altruistic software engineers who come together to build our own situation that we now know the ins and outs of, and we build maybe in a behind the scenes a closed database, a on-prem type system that only works from the data that we trained it, right? So there's possibilities like that as well. And then I have kind of these larger scale so those are kind of technical scope, instant fears or instant questions I would have on how could AI dominate us as a species when we can just blow it up or like do some just tribal monkey type stuff, That's number one. Number two, I forget number two entirely, to be honest with you guys, but it was somewhere in here. And then the third thing is what if we build our own systems? What if we, or number two was, I don't think it's smart enough quite yet to integrate systems. That's what number two was. Because these integrations between systems would be tremendously difficult to do. But let me slide into kind of these more meta questions and meta points that I have now for artificial intelligence, or I should say the fear around artificial intelligence. Again, it's that a point that I kind of prefaced this with of we talk about this arithmetic intelligence as the number one intelligence only because us humans possess it. But there's other creatures, there's other species on this planet that have superior and intellectual abilities to us in other regards of communication, of physical intelligence, of like, there's animals that are also really brilliant, for instance. And in us humans, we're kind of egocentric and narcissistic to some degree to say that our one intelligence is like the most masterful thing about us. And it certainly is. It's certainly defining of us. But to assume that it's so superior to the next best species is a little bit arrogant, don't you think? Like it's a little bit. At least you got to open the idea of like, okay, so if there's 4,000 species, I don't know how many actually exist on the planet, but if there's 4,000 species that exist on the planet, and humans currently are like in the number one spot, my natural question goes to who's in the number 2 spot, who's in the number 3 spot, who's in the number 4 spot. Like I know we've ranked our systems by this term IQ of like, humans are IQ wise so superior to everything else in our own assessment, right? But what if we're really not that far in advance to like dolphins? Like who's the number 2 spot on the species hierarchy of intellectual competency, right? So if humans average IQ, and I don't know what it is, again, I'm just kind of spitballing the idea, but if humans average IQ is 100, right? And our most genius humans are like 215, or the average genius cutoff I think is like 130 is the line for genius, or maybe 140. And I think the highest IQ ever recorded was 215, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know the granularities of these details, but humans average IQ, whatever it is, 110, 100, whichever number it is. What is the average IQ of the next best species on this planet? Like, is it 80? Is it 85? Is it 60? Is it 40? Like what is it? Is that gap so substantial that makes us so much more brilliant than the next species? Because I think that's pretty arrogant to think. I think that's a bit self-conceited. And then my rebuttal or my embellishment to the conversation of this would be, if AI is going to absolutely be a ridiculous threat to humans, right? Like a existential crises threat, are we scared of them because their average IQ would be like higher than ours by a substantial amount? So there's kind of two realities I'm painting. Is the fear that the average AI IQ is going to be like 200. In that case, I don't think that's large enough of an IQ to gap us from a humanoid standpoint, that we can't just do some tribal stuff. We can't just, do something ourselves to unplug the system. Like I don't think it's a significant enough gap from the human's average IQ. So that leaves me down this second path, which would be, let's say artificial intelligence gaps human intelligence by 1,000 points or 10,000 IQ points, to the point where they're so significantly superior in intelligence that we are archaic to them, that we are so there's such a significant gap. It's an impossibility for us to catch up, which could happen, mind you. But my natural response, and understand the context I just said of like there's thousands of species and what are the IQ of those, my natural response to it is, if AI now takes the number 1 spot and their IQ is so far above the remaining species that exist on this planet, so us and everyone below us, right? Wouldn't they just augment us to be better? Like why do we have this Terminator fear? Like why is it this, oh, they're just going to exterminate us, like iRobots, like Jada Smith to her marriage? Such a ridiculous assumption. Sorry, these Will Smith, Jada Smith jokes are just too easy, folks. Too easy. But the point I'm trying to make is let's say the average IQ for AI as a species, if we will, is 2,000. It's a significant gap to us humans, and they're like, you humans are so dumb, you emit so many carbon emissions, and you're so fat, you guys poop everywhere, and you're annoying, and you watch your gosh dang reality TV shows, and we're going to exterminate all of you? Or would they just be like, you guys need electrical work, so we built all of your electrical systems in 2 weeks? All of you have infinite power. You're welcome from AI. Anyway, we're on to the next level thing. Like why wouldn't they just augment or embellish us as a species? Like why would they default to destruction and chaos if it is from carbon emissions and requiring resources? What if they're just like, oh, okay, well, we figured out how to make sure you guys never waste plastic. We figured out we're so brilliant that we figured out all these things. We figured out infinite energy for you guys. We figured out all these existential questions. So why would they then exterminate us? Because that would then have to apply to the next set of species as well, the next lines of intellectual species. So yes, we are the most superior that we know of so far in IQ. But like, as I mentioned, like orcas are pretty smart. Dolphins are pretty smart. Like I don't know what their IQ is. I don't know if they have tests for it. I don't know if they have research on it. But I imagine when they're hunting in packs, they're communicating. They're even monkeys and stuff. They've seen them using like stones as weapons and to open things, and they have studies of monkeys playing games. So it becomes this larger question of like, if they were to quote unquote threaten humans from an existential standpoint, that would then lead me to think then they would have to take out the next line of species as well. So from, the 4,000 species that exist, or however many, right? The tens of thousands, I have no idea. That means they would have to take out the number 2 spot, the number 3 spot, the number 4 spot, the number 5 spot, all the way to like when do they stop? Where do they draw the line, and why do they draw the line? So to just instantly assume that we're rendered useless because of an intellectual gap, I think is just I think it's like narcissistic because that's how humans have built our societies. We're gravitating towards the most intellectually competent people, right? That's where kind of the money flows. That's where the opportunity flows. But even that's not entirely true. Our society is based on many different factors. So I remain unconvinced that it's an existential crisis immediately. I do think it is something to keep an eye on, but from a software engineering standpoint, again, I explained kind of technical scope. It would be really difficult for AI to integrate all systems in the entire world. That would be tremendously difficult. And even if they did, why wouldn't they just utilize that weapon, if you will, or that ability to just embellish us as a species? And if they're not, then can't we just blow stuff up? Like we're monkeys, guys. Like we could do whatever we want. You know what I mean? Like we could blow stuff up, break stuff. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't feel too terrified at it in this very moment. Now, fast forward 5 years, it could be a completely different answer. But as of today, I think these are larger questions that I don't know the answers for, and I don't know if there's answers ready for them, right? Like the research on the species IQs below us, I don't know if that's even information that exists. So to readily assume that we're rendered useless just because a species is more superior than us in this one intellectual competency, I think there's more to the human spirit, the human soul, from everything that we embody. I think it's just not, I just don't think it's there personally. So I hope that relieves some fears. I think, again, it's still to respect AI, to use it in your tools and your working systems today, to let them augment you, let these artificial intelligent tools augment your workflows, your productivity, your things you're building, but don't let it put you in fear.